November. Now it's probably appropriate moving to December. Each month, the schedule has more importance to it, and you start with two Big Ten games immediately. And so, there couldn't be a tougher opponent to play year in, year out over my time here than Purdue. That Matt and I are really good friends, and they're just going to bring you the same thing every year. Everything they have, with a great plan, good mix of inside, outside, and their guys just get better in the program every year. So Carson Edwards is obviously a guy that we've watched him here. Even I think it was 2 years ago when he was a freshman, we had a big lead and he made like 3 threes in a row, and all of a sudden I think Zach Irvin had to make a great shot, or Derek Walton made a great shot with the shot clock going down for us to end up getting the win. They really got a good team. They lost a heartbreaker with Florida State the other day, where the jump ball determined really who won the game, and so we're in for it. It just as challenging a game as we just had with North Carolina. So if we shoot like we did against North Carolina, right, we got a chance. If not, it's really going to be a tough night. So we just got to keep working at defending, shooting, just feeling who we are and how we can continue to grow.
Jacob?
John, you mentioned this with Xavier Simpson and Kobe White the other night, but do you have any idea what might be going through his head for the match with Carson Edwards?
Well, I know that he's probably both guys are winners, and both guys have had a lot of success in their college careers, and they've been guarding each other for 3 years now at times, but in particular three times last year. And so it is I know that he's going to see a lot of great point guards this year, and he'll just keep working and do what he can. But Carson is a different one now. Carson can 25 points a game. That's special. And he gets to the foul line as well. So it's going to be a difficult one, and they run great action for him as well.
Andrew?
Coach, you've talked about Luke only focusing on defense, not paying attention to offense. Has that allowed you? Do you now pay attention to offense even more than you?
No. It gives. I think we're more thorough on defense. Because once we leave and I move to the offense, I probably spend just as much time on both, except once we make decisions, now he studies it more and gets our guys ready. But at that point, I would have just dropped off. It's still the same time for me, but I would have dropped off because I can't spend the whole prep on defense. He just spends the whole prep on defense. But I would say I do more offense than I've done before. But I do have DeAndre helps me a great deal with that. That's his thing, where he looks at how people have guarded them, or how they've guarded people, so that we can find some chinks in their armor.
And then as far as the veterans kind of teaching the younger guys, this is how we do things at Michigan. You mentioned that after the last game. I guess, can you give an example of that or two? I
see with Teskey a lot, where where Mo always had him. Now he does it, with our younger guys quite a bit. And then Charles is like yesterday. Their typical practice is 600 on their catapult. Both Charles and Xavier were at 1,000 after the game. So yesterday we had to back it off, and we just had the guys that didn't play much guard Purdue. And Charles was never nonstop the whole time, talking with the guys that were out there. And so was Xavier, very engaged. Iggy, was right. Xavier, I think Charles was right next to Iggy, talking him through things. I didn't want Iggy to waste his legs yesterday as well. So they're doing it, but I mean they're not a 4-year veterans really. We got some guys that have been out there and been through it a little bit, but every day I feel closer and closer, like they're becoming more veterans.
No problem, Chris.
You played 7 guys for the most part against North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
Has November kind of, with the Big Ten games early, has that kind of changed your approach a little bit about how you do things in preparation?
No, I think I know the magnitude of what November means to your resume at the end of the year. And I think I've said to this group, if I was a mid-major coach, you wouldn't see that. You'd see 9 or 10. You're trying to prepare for March. Well, we got to mix the two. We got to win games in early so that the league and ourselves builds a resume. And then hopefully by Big Ten season, Brandon, David are more ready to get into the lineup. But we're not going to lose games or let them lose their confidence when they're not ready. And they're not yet, but every day is a step closer.
And then after watching the North Carolina film, on offense? You did a lot of good things. What were the areas that you'd like to still see improvement?
With everything, the effort areas that people would never pick, how hard we cut, how well we screen, right? The spacing always gets in the issue. We've got this much difference in where you're standing, right? Makes a big difference in the gap. And so we just have to continue to appreciate those little things, and they see it, and they're not going to play the perfect offensive game, but as they see it, they get a little bit better at it.
Jay?
John, last year these 2 early conference games were necessitated with the condensed league schedule.
Mm-hmm.
This year with the 20-game shift,
Mm-hmm.
we have them again. What are your thoughts on this 2 years in of having this 2-game slate and then going back to non-conference before?
Yeah, it's fine with me. I think this is good. It's really hard. I think we've always tried to, get a good Saturday home game this weekend, all right, or be on the road maybe, and then the next weekend, and this is going to fill it every year. So, our students, we value, they were tremendous the other night, and all the crowd was tremendous. And so this is just a date you have filled. You don't even worry about this first weekend in December. You're going to be home or you're going to be away, and it really alleviates a lot of hard work in scheduling where you could be doing other things. We're playing a quality point. It's Purdue. They won the Big Ten championship last year, the regular season championship last year. They're good.
Orion?
Xavier's ability to shut down other point guards, how much does that limit other teams' offenses and how they can move and run?
Yeah, it has been, they know if they're going to get points, they're going to be tough points against it. So it is like in football, having a great, shut down cornerback that you don't have to, you can just play him man-to-man and he's fine, and allows you to concentrate on other people. So it's been, and Charles is the same way when you have a really good player. So it's something we have. I don't think we've had this magnitude of individual defense by 2 guys. We've had different shutdown guys, but I would think they were all in the upper echelon, not as good as these 2. If these kids continue this trend, they're going to be first team all defensive team without a question in the league. And but they got to continue to do this, and that's hard to do.
And how much of the foundation of the defense is built on Xavier and what he can do?
I think that you still, because it's a team game and there's 5-on-5, what he does is important. But everybody's got to be connected to what the actions are. So some games are different than others, though. I will say there's some games that there's so much isolation that is really valuable, and other things if there's other cluster stuff going on, there's a lot to think about at the same time. And his man may score, but it may not be on him because of other people need to help him there. And that's going to happen right now. They're going to set a lot of screens for Carson Edwards, and he can shoot it from deep, off a screen, on the move. So he's going to need help from our other guys to make sure he doesn't get these clean looks while he's working like crazy to get over screens.
Zach?
John, a lot of people are obviously very enamored with AD's start to
Mm-hmm.
his career. I guess you mentioned Charles is in his ear telling him stuff. What sort of things are kind of his next steps as far as learning more about the game?
I think right now what he's probably has to continue to embrace, and he's done it. It's the next game, and everything that happened before doesn't mean anything because it's a whole new plan I have to guard. And it is so different than high school or summer basketball, where the scouting report is, hey, this guy's good and this guy's good, we got to guard them. Basically, that's what it comes down to when you're playing so many rapid games, and here's a few things they do. And now you're going from running that secondary break that North Carolina ran to now what Purdue does with the execution Purdue's had for years. It's that, I think getting comfortable with that will be the next step for him. That, oh yeah, I remember that's what Norfolk State did back in November. That I think that's the next thing when he sees these repeat actions and he's telling others about it.
Isaiah?
Is there any kind of difference when you're trying to prepare a team going from having 2, really, really difficult games back to back, North Carolina to Purdue, compared to near the end of the season when you're doing it in March and such?
Well, I think we have 4 back-to-back right now, but no, it's very similar to what it's going to be, and when we get into January and February, that we got late night weekday games followed by a Saturday afternoon game. I mean, look at Purdue. They were down at Florida State. What time did they get home? 5 a.m. yesterday? And I think men's basketball is way underrated for what these kids do, you know, with these late night games, and then they're coming to play an afternoon game a few hours later. It doesn't happen in any sport at any time, right? And so, I mean, women's basketball plays in the middle of the week, but they're playing 7 o'clock games. These 9:30 games and getting home at 4 or 5 in the morning, like we've had to do a couple times, and then turn around playing is difficult for people. So that's the challenge, and then we'll have it all. We'll have it all January, all February, and obviously March.
Is there, when you look at your own team, is there any way that, is there like a different kind of challenge when it comes to, you know, early in the season compared to late in the season, and having them keep their focus?
I worry, you know, I worry all the time about how we keep them fresh, and that this is unusual to have 7 games and it's just November. For me, it just seems like November was a really, it's usually a short month for a basketball coach, a really long month for a basketball coach, because we played the 6th and usually used to open up the 15th. And my first day coaches as a Division I coach was at Duke December 1. The season opened December 1 and finished the same time. So it's longer, and that concerns me. I'm trying to pace it. We went to Spain, but there shouldn't be in our minds any difference between what we just did and if we were playing in the middle of the season, where we were playing Michigan State, and then turn around and play Purdue the next day, and then turn around and play Northwestern the next day. It shouldn't be any different for us.
James?
John, you guys probably saw Purdue more than any team last season. I mean, how do those
3
past
times.
experiences help you, I guess, prepare for a guy of Carson Edwards' caliber?
Yeah, I hope that, you know, our guys, it was really interesting in our growth last year with them, is we told them that Matthias, Carson Edwards, and the other Vince Edwards could really shoot it. And then we sat and watched them make 13 threes here and lost by, you know, really by 1. And then we went down there and we tried to tighten that up. We still watched them shoot it in. Later on, we were much better at it. So I think that growth, that really should speak. Hopefully we won't go back to the old resort and say he's not going to shoot it from that deep. And then he does. So it's a challenging game. This is a really good team. I can't believe he's lost so many seniors, how well they've reloaded in a very short time. You know, they'll get some kids that in their freshman year, it's hard for them to really get it all, but by their sophomore, junior year, boy, Matt's got these kids developed. It's really good.
How different is the game planning for, you know, Harms as opposed to Haas, because probably Harms like half his size?
Yeah, you know, they're throwing it into the post a lot, but not like the probably 50% of the time before. And then he was like, you know, I'm sure Mo Wagner never wants to see him again. I mean, that's got to be, that was so difficult to get on one side and get the other side. Now, what Harms does is he's getting a block shot every 11 minutes. John Teskey's getting one every 10 minutes. And I think they're 2 leaders as far as minutes they would be. He is, they're going to down our ball screens, and he's in the way blocking shots. So that's the challenge where Haas would, in space, you might be able to get under him or back up on him or shoot threes. Harms is more mobile defensively.
Back down in front, Chris.
How many guys have you had like AE that are so ambidextrous and so good with both hands, and how big a luxury is that in your offense?
I can't read. I think there was somebody. No, because he can throw a baseball with both hands. I mean, he can go. We could have him take the inbounds play, and he could run to his right and throw with his left hand, or run to his left and throw with his right hand. I remember seeing him in AAU do that, and so a right-handed, like, long pass to somebody. And so, no, I haven't seen that very much. It's really very advantageous for him when he goes to the basket and he can go with either hand. Most people can go with either hand, but not feel comfortable with either hand. He's really good at that. Hi, Casey.
Hi, John. You talked earlier this season about Isaiah Livers wanting to be more like Duncan Robinson. Have you noticed that throughout these next few games?
Yeah, you know, that shot when he came off that bench, that was Duncan Robinson. He came off the bench, and that North Carolina kid closed out on him fast, and he still knocked it down from the corner. He would have got that shot off last year because he would have been down lower with it. The ball came out of his hand like this. He's getting good arc on the shot, so it was good. It's good to see him do that. And now he just got a little bit of foul trouble, and we had a good mix going on in there. But we need him badly. He comes off that bench, can so versatile, gives us a lot of stuff. But I wouldn't say he's Duncan Robinson yet in any way. But I want him to have that mentality shooting the ball. But I think he can take the ball to the basket, he can finish, he can rebound, all those things, probably different than even Duncan could.
What impresses you about Jordan's game so far this first one?
Well, I was impressed the other day that he was able to, make some big shots when we needed. He hasn't shot the ball well, but one game really. And then he had that open three at the end. It was the first basket he made in the first half from the corner. That was a huge shot to end the half, and that gave him some confidence. So that's what he's doing. And defensively right now, he had 4 assists and no turnovers in the game. That's a big. He right now he's not like Muhammad had 130 assists last year. He's on pace to have 40 or 50. He's got to get his assist numbers up. I spoke to him about that, and all of a sudden he goes 4-0. So if he go 4-0, he can go 4 assists every single game. We're a different team.
Thanks, John.
Brendan?
You said before that you don't notice crowd size, you don't notice all those things in game. I wonder if you did at all the other night, and what your thoughts are on having that consistently with this program.
Yeah, it's a. I don't notice it. I mean, when they ask it, it's almost like I said somebody has hit you with is it a concussion grenade or something, where I don't hear it. I don't hear anything. I'm just thinking and trying to survive so much. There's a few times that I said, man, the atmosphere is great, but it's not like, wow, I can't talk. They can't hear me. I think when I think back about it, when Charles had the dunk off the rebound, and the guy clearly blew his whistle right in front of me and put his hand up, and I couldn't hear him. He didn't get. Then I said, wow, it is really loud in here. But it's good to have that. I think that we had been playing other ACC opponents that are not named Duke or North Carolina. Maybe it would have been a touch different, but I think we're getting there. But we're only as long as we're winning, it will stay at the rate we've been winning at. It's going to stay pretty strong. But fans have a lot of other options. We have to keep winning, and hopefully that's the plan. But we got a lot of work to do.
Anything, Chris, you want to close this?
Yeah, real quick, we haven't asked you in a while. You're back to 100%? Are you throwing 2-handed chest passes and everything?
Not really. And you know what? I haven't worked at it. I was overzealous in my workouts, and I have a little bit of I don't know if it's a hip pointer or it's something. I haven't been able to really exercise, climbing too many hills on my treadmill. So I'm going through injury rehab right now. So now I'm back to walking flat land right now.
Okay.
But I'm still getting my steps in. But thanks for asking. All right, thanks everyone.
Thank you.